Not sure if you heard, but Jerry Springer, the talk show host Jerry Springer, died toward the end of last week. I was going to sort of let it pass, but then as I thought about it, it occurred to me that there's a very lasting kind of cultural significance to what Jerry Springer did over many, many years, the impact of his show. So I thought I'd like to say a few things about that. So this is not so much a reflection on Jerry Springer, the man. I'm going to say a couple things about the man, but I'm going to focus a little bit more about the show. Now, first of all, many people don't know that Jerry Springer was, even while the same guy who's hosting this outrageous show with people being administered paternity tests and people coming to blows and Jerry Springer's guys running in to pry people apart, this same guy was also the mayor of Cincinnati. Now, when I noted this on social media, someone goes, "Well, yeah, Dinesh, but don't you know that he was forced to resign because he got caught paying a prostitute with a check?" And this, I'm not sure if this was when he was on city council or when he was mayor, but I mean, I have to agree that for first of all, don't go to prostitutes if you don't want that to be exposed. But the other thing is, if you do, don't pay with the check. I mean, I don't think you need a political consultant to figure that out. On a somewhat more noble note, when Springer was the mayor, apparently there were a group of Nazis who demanded to march in Cincinnati. Springer, who is of Jewish origins, said, he goes, my parents are Holocaust survivors. I don't know what I'm going to say to them. I can't really stop this march. And so he talked to his parents, and his parents said, "Jerry, this is America. Let them march." I mean, a remarkable affirmation of free speech, not just on the part of Springer, but also on the part of his parents. Now, with regard to the Springer show, I remember when I would go back to India, there would be my relatives and my cousins who had seen the show, and they would. But I found what's interesting is they didn't take it as a show. They took it as kind of a window into American life. And their conclusion was Americans are nuts. First of all, look at the situations they get themselves into, and those are bad enough. But then look at the way that they then go and parade their embarrassing secrets on TV, and they get shamed and humiliated, and they behave in this sort of horrific manner. And so, interestingly, we got to remember this about American culture. It is taken by other people around the world as this is who Americans are. This is how Americans behave. Now, inside of America, I was always intrigued by why people not only watch the show, but sort of became addicted to it. And let's remember that the Jerry Springer show was kind of one of many shows of the same genre. There was Montel Williams. Who are some of the other guys?
Well, there was
Geraldo, of course, Sally, Jesse, Oprah. But I think Jerry Springer took it the furthest. He was the reductio ad absurdum of the genre. It's like, you can do it, all right. What if we push the limit? And so I would say the typical show, at least the typical show that I watch, involved people coming to blows, us wrestling each other down onto the ground, and of course in one case, they broke Geraldo's nose. Debbie reminds me. But look, I mean, I guess there's a certain amount of entertainment value in all that. But I think at a deeper psychological level, it was also a sort of, it's almost as if people whose lives were not all that great, they were a little humdrum, maybe even you have problems, but then you turn on Jerry Springer and go, I thought I had problems. Look at these guys. So it gives you a certain, you compare them to yourself, and you discover that your problems are in effect not so bad. Now, I think the bad news on Jerry Springer is just this. He started a freak show, and the freak show, alas, has now become mainstream culture. In other words, we see the same freakishness. Let's take a typical, I think I once saw a Jerry Springer show, and this was intended to be almost on the face of it humorous. You had a married couple, and the man had a sex change operation to become a woman, and the woman had a sex change operation to become a man, and the point was that their marital life was better than ever. So this is I remember chuckling at this and shaking my head and being like, this is nuts. But now I say to myself, this idea of transitioning from one gender to the other, this idea that it sort of is a way of affirming your true identity, this is now happening all over the place. I saw something this morning. These were posts from various hospitals in North Carolina. They do these gender transitions at the age of 2 and 3 years old. So obviously, without the consent of the person involved, this is something evidently that the parents are pushing or being pushed into by therapists. I'm not exactly sure. But how can you possibly make an informed decision at that age? Moreover, how do you sort of know that my child is born as with male anatomy, but really this is a little girl? I mean, it's very scary, the stuff that's going on. And so I don't think that Jerry Springer endorsed it. I mean, he realized, of course, that his show was highly successful. In that sense, he enabled it. But you always got the sense that he himself was not part of it. In other words, he would step back and had this wry look on his face as if to say, I realize that these people are total freaks. So, but that distancing ultimately didn't change the fact that Jerry Springer and the show, in its own way, helped foster our current climate in which the kind of shameless freakishness that we saw so often on his show is now virtually a cultural norm. And I don't see how history can record that as a positive legacy.